first and foremost, just offering all honors, praise, respect, acknowledgement, and thanks to the great King of the universe, to the God of our fathers, to the God of Abraham, the God of Yisrael, and the God of Yaakov. Thanking for all things and everything. I believe in some of my forefathers. Shabbat Shalom Zaccar.
Shabbat Shalom Zaccar.
Please be seated. Thanking the Most High God for life. Thanking Him for strength. Thanking Him for food, clothing, and shelter. Thanking the Most High God because He is good and His mercy endures forever.
Amen.
Thanking Him for my life. Thanking Him for the lives of my family. Thanking Him for your lives and the lives of your families. The portion that we're going to be going into today is going to be Proverbs 18 and 19. Speaking young people these days. Before I start, I'm just going to talk a little bit. Probably maybe 2 weeks ago now. 2 weeks ago, I read this article, and the article was disappointing because I thought we had passed certain things as being Israelites. I thought we had gotten past certain things. People referring to us as a black Hebrew Israelite cult and those types of things. I thought we had gotten past that because that was the talk 20, 30 years ago when I first came around. And obviously it resurfaced, and the reason it resurfaced for the reasons that it resurfaced, which I'm not going to get into those. But what I am going to say is, last time I checked, God is good. Am I right or wrong? Amen. Last time I checked, God spoke to Abraham, who spoke to Zaccar, who spoke to Yisrael. And God didn't just give Yisrael his name. He had to fight for it. He had to earn that. He had to work for that. And that's what God gave him. And with him fighting for that and earning that, what he did in his struggle and what Jacob did in his struggle is Jacob, through the blessings of God, identified himself. Jacob did not allow anybody else to identify him. He identified himself. And with him identifying himself, that's part of the blessing that we all have to this day. Am I right or wrong? And so what happens is we call ourselves Israel, and where we are in this constant fight and struggle because we have been allowing other people to identify us for so long by their means. We have allowed people to identify us for so long by the things that they want us to, by the things that they want to call us, as opposed to us identifying ourselves by the things that God gave us. And so what happens is, it seems like we don't really know how to fight against that in a mature manner. So what happens is, some of us, because of because of allowing other people to define us by terms like Black Hebrew Israelite cult, then people want to call us Black Jews, and we accept that. We call ourselves Black Jews, and we accept that. And I wonder sometimes, why is it that we're so willing to accept what other people want to give us and what other people want to put on us, rather than have the strength to stand up and identify ourselves? And I get it. We're in this process of we're trying to gain the strength to do certain things. And some of us have the strength to say, yes, I'm not a black Jew. Some of us have the strength to say, I'm an Israelite. Well, how are you an Israelite? Because that's the covenant that God made with my fathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Some of us have the strength to resolve to say that, but unfortunately, we don't have that resolve as a nation. So what happens is, oftentimes, the people who speak louder for us don't truly represent us. Because the term that's famous out there describing us right now is black Jews. And then this term black Hebrew Israelite cult comes around and everybody shies away from it. Everybody shies away from talking about it. We don't stand up as a nation to say, you cannot call me that. I will not allow you to call me that. I will not accept that from you. We don't stand up as a nation to do it because we're concerned, and I just don't understand why. Mm-hmm. Why are we concerned to stand up and tell whoever it is, you can't call me that. I will not allow you to call me that. And I wonder sometimes, and I think what happens is the reason that we don't have the strength and the resolve as a nation to do it, because we as a nation aren't fully vested in God yet to believe that God gonna bless that. I don't believe we are strong enough to feel like if we stand up and let the world know, not through who we are, not by talk, but by showing and by actions, it seems like we don't feel like God gonna bless that and support that. Why would we not feel like God gonna bless that and support that when God already promised that that's what I'm gonna bless and support? Before you start in Proverbs, I want you to go to Job. I want you to go to Job 13. And I want to read, and this just hit me. I read this morning because I was looking for something else. And I read it this morning and it hit different. If you could read Job 13 to 16.
Job chapter 13, verse 13. Hallelujah. Hold your peace, let me alone, that I may speak and let come on me what will.
So now, but let me just kind of set the tone. So the tone of what's happening right now is Job is speaking with his two friends. This is after God took away Job's family. He took away his sons and his daughters, and Job is now speaking to his friends about what he's going through, and his friends are giving him the advice that they're giving him, and this is part of Job's response. In Job's response starts in 12, but when you read 13:13, this is Job having had enough of some of the things that they were saying, and this was Job's response. And actually before, come on.
Wherefore I will take my flesh in my teeth and put my life in my hand. Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him.
Come on.
But I will argue my ways before him. Mm-hmm. This also shall be my salvation, that a hypocrite cannot come before him.
Come on. And so I want to talk about what Job is saying right now. What Job is actually saying right now is he's saying to the friends, listen, I heard enough. Y'all said enough. I know how I feel and I know who I am. And he said, and so he says, wherefore I will take my flesh in my teeth and put my life in my hands. Though he will slay me, I will trust in him, but I will argue my ways before him. What Job is saying is, I know me. And I know the things that I've done. I know the things that I've done in my life. I know the efforts that I've made, the things that I've put forth. And I'm going to put those ways before God, regardless to what you say, because his friends are all along saying, no, you can't speak to God like that. You can't talk to God like that. God is just, and if this happened to you, it must have happened to you for a reason. And Job is saying, you know what? I heard enough from y'all. I'm going to take my chances, and I'm going to speak to God. Why? Because God is just. I'm going to take my chances. I'm going to speak to God. Why? Because I know within myself I'm right. And what he said, that he says, I will, though he may slay me, he may not like what I'm saying. That's his choice. But I will trust in him, and I will argue my ways before him. And then what he says, which is the important part, is he said, this also will be my salvation, that a hypocrite cannot come before him. Meaning, I know that I can come and stand before God because I know I stand on what I stand on is right. Mm-hmm. I know within myself that God said that I'm going to protect the righteous. I know that been me.
Right.
And because I know that been me, I know that I can speak to my Father in a manner to ask why, because I know I've been right.
Right.
That's what Job's saying. And I think for us, it seems like part of the hesitance to be able to speak to God in the same manner is because maybe somewhere within us we feel like we ain't truly been right like we could have been. Or maybe we feel like we ain't been right like we should have been.
Right.
And so sometimes you hesitant to speak because we know what we did. But it says that the righteous is bold as a lion. And so when Job is talking with the words that Job is talking, Job can speak like that. And he spoke like that. And at the end of the book, Job said everything that he had to say. And God came in and God did what he did. But at the end of the day, God blessed Job because Job, in his heart and in his actions, Job was right. And that's what Job stood on, and that's what Job trusted in. And so what I'm saying is the same. Maybe it's me. I get worked up. I feel offended. I feel like I want to act when people describe me in a manner that I know is not me. When you call me a black Hebrew Israelite cult, I get offended because I know that that's not me. And I get offended because my response is that you can't call me that. And then sometimes I have to stop because obviously the way some of the other black Hebrew Israelites acted, they've got a right to call them that, but unfortunately we all get lumped up together. And we're going to go into the Proverbs, and again, Solomon is going to talk about a lot of different things. The experiences that, the information, the advice, the guidance that he received from his mother and his father. But I want us to consider that and consider these in these days and times, because the fact of the matter is this book was written how many other thousands of years ago, and we need to take from it what we need to take from it in order for it to be a benefit to us now. And what I'm saying, in order for this to be a benefit to us now, we not only need to be able to stand up and speak right, but we need to be able to stand up and be right. Mm-hmm. And when we not right, it puts us in a position where we can't speak those strong words like Job did because we ain't right. Or when we right, but we know other people ain't right, it makes it hard for us to speak those words because we ain't right, but we know other people not right, which is what that article was. So in order for us to be right, we need to be right. We need to act right. We need to look right. And then we need to clean up right so that we can stand before and tell people you can't define us like that because that's not us. That's not any of us. Come on. Proverbs.
We're in Proverbs chapter 18, verse 1. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. He that separateth himself seeketh his own desire and snarleth against all sound wisdom.
Right. So that's what happens sometimes is sometimes we get so upset, we get frustrated, we get worked up, and we choose to just kind of go away. I want to go, and I'm going to be by myself, and all of these different things. He who separated himself seeks his own desire and snarleth against all sound wisdom, because we are people that's supposed to dwell together. You can't, I mean, we have our moments, and we can do certain things by ourselves, but you can't do the law by yourself, because we weren't meant to do the law by ourselves.
Right.
We weren't meant to be by ourselves. We were meant to be together, which means that we need to learn how to get together. We need to learn how to be together. We need to learn how to work through problems and issues together. Come on.
A fool hath no delight in understanding, but only that his heart may lay itself bare.
Come on.
When the wicked cometh, there cometh also contempt, and with ignominy reproach.
Come on.
The words of a man's mouth are as deep waters, a flowing brook, a fountain of wisdom.
So, we need to be careful about the things that we say, because the things that we say impact other people whether we realize it or not. We influence other people whether we realize it or not. And so what our goal is and what our goal should be, I mean, we need to shy away from giving advice oftentimes anyway. Sometimes we offer advice when advice wasn't needed. Sometimes we offer advice when people just want to vent. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we offer advice when people just want to kind of just let things out. But one of the things that I can tell you is when you actually give advice, please don't give advice. Don't give people advice based on your past trauma. Don't give people advice based on what you would do in your situation with all your baggage. You know, when you're giving advice to people, you got to realize that when people are in the moment where they need advice, their mind is not where it should be. That's why they need advice. And so they become very impressionable when they need advice. And if you give bad advice to somebody that's impressionable and now they go on your bad advice and ruin their lives, that life ruin is on you. The other thing that we need to consider, I know we all watch Oprah and Dr. Phil and Maury. Everybody is not qualified to give advice.
Correct.
Neither are they. I mean, and by some of the examples, you can tell clearly that they're not qualified to give advice. But that's the thing. This whole podcast era and YouTube where everybody I wish we was back to AOL dial-up where everybody just didn't have a platform to give advice because everybody not qualified to be able to give advice. Everybody is not qualified for that. And worse yet, everybody is not accountable for the ruin that they cause when they give bad advice. One of the worst things that you could do, but then the other part that comes with advice is what? When you bring people into your relationship and you open and now they start telling you how terrible your husband is, they start telling you how terrible your wife is, and now you respond based on how terrible somebody telling you how terrible your husband or wife is, and now they break up and they hurting because you done listened to somebody who has their own set of trauma. You listen to somebody who don't have a husband or don't have a wife, but they giving advice. There's this segment, and I listen to it almost every morning on the way to work. Steve Harvey, Ask the CLO. And most probably 90% of the advice that Steve Harvey gives is bad advice. Because it's based, and he'll tell you in a minute. Somebody asks, oh, my husband did this, my wife did this. Well, I don't know why you asking me because I done been divorced 3 times. Well, why you asking people to ask you if you've been divorced 3 times? But everybody with a platform, everybody giving this advice, and based on trauma, and people are suffering for it. Come on.
Verse 5. It is not good to respect the persons of the wicked, so as to turn aside the righteous in judgment.
I want to talk about this for a minute. Because, and I just need y'all to hear me. Just because you did a bad thing doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad person. However, there's always anomalies. I get that. However, the flip side of that is just because you're a good person don't mean you don't get judged for the bad thing. And that's the part that all of us we have an issue with, because when you look at it here, it said it's not good to respect the persons of the wicked so as to turn aside the righteous in judgment. So this isn't necessarily talking about a good person or a bad person. This is actually talking about the right person and the wrong person in this situation. And when you allow a person's character to deter you away from giving them the judgment that they deserve for the bad thing that they did, that's what this is talking about. You could be a good person before this. You could be a good person after this. However, when it comes to dealing with you as it relates to this judgment, you can't turn righteous people away in their right because of your feelings about somebody else who was wrong.
Right.
And that's what happens all too often. And that's why people feel like, I don't want to be around this. I don't trust this. I don't trust that. We want to be held in esteem as trustworthy people, but we don't deal with things in a manner that would build trust amongst the people who need it most. The thing about most times when you're seeking after God, most people aren't going to experience God in a way that God talks to you face to face. Most people aren't going to experience that. But what happens is most people, especially when they come around, most people are guided through the spirit that God gave them, really through the people who they're listening to. So when you realize the impact and the influence that you have as a quote unquote person of God, then you would think about these things just a little bit more, because the impact that you have, like when people walk away because they see things that are unseemly in the house of God with the people of God, and people walk away, a lot of times we blame those people, and those people have some blame, but the people who ran them away bear part of that blame as well. Come on.
Verse 6. A fool's lips enter into contention, and his mouth calleth for strokes.
And so now, I think that I'm not going to get into the violence aspect of this, but I want to be clear. Sometimes you can say some things out your mouth that'll get you punched in the face.
That's right.
And I think that what happens is, in this YouTube, internet, phone thug era, people do all of this on these devices because they feel like somebody won't see you. But back in the days when it wasn't all of this internet, back in the days when everybody was outside, because people don't be outside today like they was back in the days. And sometime when you be outside, you'll learn quick to watch your mouth. She told me to say it again. You'll learn quick to watch your mouth. And guess what that was? That was with a parent. That was outside. That was with a grandparent. That was, you learn quick what to say and what not to say and when to say it. And that's the talk that we don't like to talk about no more, but that's what it is. So now people could talk tough. Phone thugs. Phone thug. People oh man, phone thug. Twitter thug. Your thumb's going a mile a minute. Pull up, pull up, pull up. And then people pull up and now you don't know what to do. You stuck. Because it's still some real people out there. And there's still some people that will tell you that there's some consequences to the things that you say and the tough talk that you do because you thought I couldn't find you. That's new to me. I get that. I heard that. That's new to me. And again, I'm not speaking to the violence aspect of it. I'm speaking to the aspect of it to tell you that you need to watch what you say sometimes. When you a child and you talking to a parent, we was actually talking about this in the back. Listen, my mother, we had, we would play around. We would joke around. We would rank on each other. We would do all that. When my mother's face changed, that's when you know I ain't playing. And that's when you learn, you better not say not near one other thing. That's how you learn. But no, I mean, that's when you see the result of it. But how you learned was because y'all joked and you crossed the line. And that's what happened. And that's what happened. And after you got backhanded once or twice, you'll learn how to speak to your parents. After you was out in the street and y'all was ranking and you hit a little bit below the belt and somebody punched you in your face, you knew, yeah, I went too far. And I think that's what's missing right now. I'm not trying to promote violence. I'm trying to promote accountability. And accountability, and scripture tell you, a fool's lips enter into contention and his mouth call for strokes. How else do you translate that other than watch your mouth? So when I looked at the list and I saw I had 18, I said, oh boy. Because I knew this was in 18. Come on.
A fool's mouth is his ruin, and his lips are the snare of his soul.
It's telling you the same thing in a different way without the threat of violence. But it's telling you the same thing. Because sometimes we say things, and you might think, we say things in this way. Sometimes you see what they call those backhanded compliments. Sometimes we make these jokes, and they don't really be jokes. It's really how you feel. You just wanna add a LOL at the end of it and act like I'm supposed to accept that. Come on.
Verse 8, the words of a whisperer are as dainty morsels, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly.
When people talk and you whispering and you talk, if you knew the impact that your gossip had on other people, if you knew the impact of the hurt that you cause other people by spreading these things that you don't know if it's true and you only heard a part of it, and because it don't quite fit, you ad-lib stuff in because you only heard of a part of it, but you also have to add something in to make it juicy because you want people to be able to really listen, and you want to make it juicy. You want to make it salacious. So you add stuff into it. And all the while, this person who did you no wrong is feeling the impact. Come on.
Even one that is slack in his work is brother to him that is a destroyer.
Come on.
The name of Yahweh is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is set up on high.
And that's just what we was talking about with Job.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you, right? If you ain't righteous, if you ain't right, let's not use the big words. If you ain't right, if you still got the skeeviness, the devious, when you try to run to God, what's going to happen is it's all going to turn upside down. Because God don't allow you to be nasty, dirty, vicious, and vile and still protect you like he protect everybody else. Because if God protected the righteous, the nasty person just as much as the right person, then what good would there be to be? What good would there be to be right? What's the benefit? What's the benefit? Come on.
The rich man's wealth is his strong city, and as a high wall in his own conceit. Mm-hmm. Before destruction, The heart of a man is haughty, and before honor goeth humility.
And that's what happens sometimes. You think you real good with God. You think you in. That article, that's what that article is about. Sometimes you think you in with God, and God show what God show. That's the thing. And when you look at God for a minute, one of the things that you got to appreciate about God is that certain things might not happen right away. Time is his. What's the song? Time is on my side. That's God. That's God. And so what happens is there's that portion in Ecclesiastes where it says, because judgment on a wicked act isn't executed swiftly. Right. It's set in the heart of sons of men to do evil. But guess what will happen when God come ringing? You know. Yep. And that's the thing, because sometimes God come ringing at the most inopportune time for us. And you think everything going smooth, and here come God. And it's like, I mean, it's God. I mean, it's not like you can even do anything. Because he come in to collect, and there's nothing you could say. The good part about it is you could do one of two things. Because God is still merciful. Am I right or wrong? Amen. So you could take it, and you could take it. You know what? Message received. Or you could fight accountability and blame others, and then that day of Yahweh is usually going to become longer and longer and longer because you ain't learned, because you ain't get it yet. Come on.
Verse 13. He that giveth answer before he heareth, it is folly and confusion unto him.
You ever seen those? They ready to talk. You talking. And they got their response ready before you even finish. Response ready. And you're talking to people sometimes, and you could tell. You could tell people not listening to nothing you saying. They're just waiting for you to finish so that they can say whatever it is that they want to say. And the communication aspect amongst us it really requires improvement. We just need to be able to listen to people sometimes, because if we actually stop and listen to understand what somebody is going through or what it is that they're trying to say, we will be able to communicate better, because you might understand that what you thought their issue wasn't really what their issue was. Their issue was probably something else. And yours as well. Come on.
The spirit of a man will sustain his infirmity, but a broken spirit who can bear?
So, I want us to consider this, because this is directly related to our outlook on how we see things. We can look at, like when God, and we talked about when God comes to collect. When God comes to collect, we can look at it as an opportunity for learning, a learning experience, or you can look at it as, woe is me. And you can wallow in whatever it is that God is doing, because God did it. The thing about it is, I think a lot of us learned this whole woe is me attitude. Everything is wrong. The whole world is against me. The white man did this, and all of those different things. And we, rather than seeing things as an opportunity to be better. And I want us to just consider that that's all in our mindset, where we need to look at things that God does as an opportunity for us to be better. Because things aren't ever going to be easy. How we handle it and how we respond is what's going to take precedent. Think about what the Maftir, the portion that the Maftir read today. Can we give him another round of applause? Even though he kept pause. Kept pausing me, but very good job. Very well done. But think about the part that he read, where it says, no weapon that is formed against thee will prosper.
That's right.
It never said that the weapon wasn't going to be formed.
That's a fact.
The weapon's still going to be formed, but that's your test before God to know that I know the weapon is formed. I'm telling you it won't prosper if you follow me.
That's right.
And so everything is outlook. Everything is how you see things. Don't worry about the weapons that's being formed. Don't worry about the things that they're doing today, because God already said the weapon's going to be formed. God already said, I created the waster to destroy. God already said that. He already said that. Our goal is to look at that and look at it as an opportunity to get closer to God. Because if we take it as an opportunity to get closer to God, guess what? He might just save. Go on.
Verse 15. The heart of the prudent getteth knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeketh knowledge. A man's gift maketh room for him, and bringeth him before great men.
Come on.
He that pleadeth his cause first seemeth just, but his neighbor cometh and searcheth him out.
So let's talk about this for a minute, right? Because a lot of times what happens is the person who gives the story first, that story, we take that story, we hear that first story, and we run. That's what he did. That's what she did. I knew she was, I knew he was, and you running with this story because one person told it. Because guess what? The person told it, and they had their feelings in it. And they had their emotions in it. And there was some tears coming out and all of those different things. And you hear this story and we going, wow. It said the person, he who pleads his cause first seems just. You hear it. That's right. I knew that was him. I knew that was her. But then it says, but his neighbor comes and searches him out. Like, oh, whoa. Is that what happened? Okay, hold on. And then you start asking questions. And then once you start asking questions and people start filling in the blanks on the other side, now you stuck. Because now the story that first came to you that seemed like this was just a horrible tragedy, now you're looking at it like, oh, that's a foul individual, that first person that came and told me the story. How dare they even think that I was going to believe such a story? That's why when it comes to these types of situations, that's why we can't listen. That's why we can't listen to what that first person say. We can't listen to that first story that come about. Like, and I think Max said it a couple weeks ago. They did what? They said what? No. Really? Just hold that thought 1 second. And you call and you put the other person on the phone. No. Say that again. No. Tell me what they said. No. Say it with the same tone. Say it with the same tone that you said it when you was no, bro. Your voice is cracking right now. You sounded real firm when we was talking. But that's what you need. That's what we need. We need to make it our business to start hearing both sides of a story. We need to make it our business because they tell you, right? It's always a few sides to the story. His side, your side, and then what happened?
The truth.
And we get so broken up over hearing these one sides of stories because it's like it's almost like we looking for a reason. And that first side of the story give it to us. But then you hear the second side of the story and it all starts to make sense.
Right.
Come on.
18. The lot causeth strife to cease, and parteth asunder the contentious. A brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city, and their contentions are like the bars of a castle.
And that's people. Not just brothers, it's sisters. Mind you, it's certain things that, and I want us to know this. We take this, we take that scripture about grudge and we really throw it around.
Right.
Real willy-nilly. And I'm gonna just put the actual definition of grudge aside for a minute. And I'm gonna just talk about real life. Because what Solomon is talking about right now is real life. And it's telling you, a brother offended is harder to win than a strong city, and their contentions are like the bars of a castle. And that means it says clearly that there's some things that you can do to a person that your apology, you can take it and kick rocks. And they'll tell you that. And we need to understand that. We need to understand that sometimes you cross a line, sometimes you say a thing, and an apology will not fix it. We need to know that. That's real. Tell me I'm holding a grudge all you want. I believe that concept of how people throw around holding a grudge is a vice in order for them to not take accountability for the wrong that they did.
Right.
You know what? I'll deal with my grudge with God, but you did this. And some things don't get fixed.
That's it.
Some things don't get fixed. And we need to understand that. Hopefully, we can understand it to the point that we will think about things before we do it and think about the impact. But if not, rest assured, when you cross certain lines, you just need to say the end to certain relationships. Because, and I don't have to. Because me protecting my peace is more important to me than accepting your apology, which I don't even know is real or not.
Right.
And oftentimes we deem things as a mistake that just wasn't a mistake.
That's right.
A sorry is for a mistake. If you stole from me, it's not a mistake. That's a purpose. Mm-hmm. That too. That too. Certain things are not a mistake. And we need to understand that when these lines get crossed, listen, you could just chalk it up because we don't got no words. We don't got no more words. And I can guarantee you that that's okay. Because I might even forgive you. Well, I won't. But some people might. They might forgive you. But the nature of the relationship is forever changed.
That's right.
And you need to be willing to accept that as well. Come on.
20. A man's belly shall be filled with the fruit of his mouth. With the increase of his lips shall he be satisfied. Mm-hmm. Death and life are in the power of the tongue.
Watch what you say. Come on.
And they that indulge it shall eat the fruit thereof.
Watch what you say. Mm-hmm. Because again, when you could get involved in all of that salacious gossip, talking, you could get involved in all that you want. And it says, they that indulge in it shall eat the fruit thereof. Meaning, if you indulge in it, that's what you're going to get back. Like Trinidad James said, I ain't no snitch, so don't tell me who telling. If we ain't about to get this whole thing out in the open up, if we ain't gonna get this whole thing out and bring it out in the wash, don't tell me your feeling or your opinion about somebody else. I need it. I want to hear it. Come on.
Whoso findeth a wife, findeth a great good, and obtaineth favor of Yehovah.
I want to stay on this for a little while. I want to talk about this for a little while. Because anybody in here know what a good wife look like? Mm-hmm. I know some people better raise their hands. I know some people, it's women raising their hands too, but I hear that. That's real. That's real. But I can guarantee you it says, whoso findeth a good wife findeth a great good and obtaineth favor of Yehovah. Because it's a difference between a wife and a girlfriend. Mm-hmm. It's a difference between a wife. It's a difference between somebody who's gonna hold you down with everything and gonna leave when things go bad.
Right.
It's a difference. It's a difference between the two. And I'm gonna tell you, I don't get sick much. I'm the big look. I'm always fine. My leg could be falling off, and I'm fine. I play basketball and I'm crawling up the stairs. Zaccar, you all right? I'm fine. You sure? I'm fine. Yo, I said I'm fine. Here, let me just make you okay. Okay. All right. You know what? You win. You know, you win. It's the good wife that when she asks you if you want something and you tell her no, she get it anyway because she know you ain't mean no. Because she's so in tune with you that she know what you want even when you don't realize that that's what you want. And it says, whoever findeth a good wife findeth a great good and obtain the favor of Yahweh. So for the people who don't have that yet, I'm so sorry for you. Because you just don't know what you're missing. You know, we grew up in a society where people talk about marriage like it's about, oh, I'm going home to the old ball and chain. Oh, I'm going home to the old battle axe. Well, why are you going home then? Like, why are you going home then? Just don't understand. I don't understand. Sometimes we be at work and this is like a new thing where I'm at now, and they be like, look, let's hang out and let's hang out. We're gonna get some drinks. I'm going home. I'm going home. I can get some drinks. I can get some drinks at home. I can get some food at home. I can get some drinks at home. You know, I could be at home with somebody who, when she say you so cute, I know she mean it. As opposed to when you in the club out for drinks and she say you so cute, she just wants something. I mean, at home she might want something too, but you know what it is? We done been together for so long that, listen, whatever it is, you got it. We was talking the other day. Who was that? I don't remember who was up here. She sent me a screenshot from somebody and said somebody, I know who it was. She sent me a screenshot from somebody and said, look, they said that you should be giving your check to me. And put an emoji with a hand going like this. And I said, okay, I don't know who said that, but I'll give you the check and the bills too. And then she sent me emojis that said go like this. You can keep your check and your bills too. But when you could go home and you could laugh and joke and talk about things and play around and all of those different things. I mean, things ain't gonna always be rosy. Things aren't gonna always be nice. Things gonna get a little tense sometime. We was having an argument. Everybody ever play punch card with punch buggies? I don't know why y'all quiet in here, because I know I'm looking at the age on some of the people in here, and I know y'all play punch card. Punch buggy. Okay, what up, punch buggy? Punch buggy, punch car is the same thing. Punch buggy, punch car is when you see a Volkswagen, a buggy, you punch it, punch car. Punch car. You hit the person. You hit the person. We got some work to do. We got some work to do. It's just this is cute. Punch car, no punch back. That's it. Right? That's good. Yo, we was. It didn't make. Do y'all even have punch cars in Alabama? Anyway, it's the Volkswagen. Okay, well, anyway, right? So, we ain't played punch card in years. And we was in the car, and I know you can wave all you want. Look, you can wave all I don't see you. We was in the car, just had whatever we was arguing about, I don't remember, but it got nasty. It got nasty. We wasn't talking. Just don't say nothing. We ain't say nothing. and a punch card came, and ooh, she hit me so hard. She hit me so hard. It was wham, punch card. You don't play punch card. Punch card, don't punch me. Wham, ooh, and I'm like, yo, we can laugh about that now. She ain't care about no punchback because she was mad. I should have reported that, right? But we was able to laugh about that years and years and years later. But man, find a wife, you find a good thing. Laugh, joke, and all those different things. Life is good. If you ain't get that, you need to find that. And I want you to know that the first girl you run across ain't wife material. Usually it's not the first or the second. They not wife material. The first guy you run across ain't husband material most of the time. But the way you determine that whether this person is spouse material is before you jump in the sack, you actually have conversations. And you talk about the things that are important. You talk about the things that are boundaries and deal breakers for the both of you. Because it don't make no sense for you to be in a relationship and years down the road and now you breaking up over something that y'all probably should have talked about a long time ago. So I'm just telling you, I'm saying that from the perspective of he who finds a wife or a good husband finds a good thing. But don't run to the first nice size backside that you run across because yours usually not the one. Come on.
23. The poor useth entreaties, but the rich answereth impudently.
You know, when you poor, you gotta say everything politically correct. You gotta dance around and walk on eggshells when you're talking to people when you're poor because you need something. But the rich answers the way the rich answers because they just full of themselves. So that's how they answer. Come on.
There are friends that one have to his own hurt, but there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. Hallelujah.
And just like a good wife and a good husband is hard to find, a good friend is hard to find. And sometimes you think you have a friend and you don't really have a friend. You might have an acquaintance or something, associate or something else. But I'm talking about a friend when things go down, that friend is there. When you need advice, when you need to talk, that friend's going to give you good advice. That friend's going to give you righteous advice. But you got to watch out for those where it says there are friends that one have to his own hurt. Because sometimes you can have a friend that you think they a friend and they constantly getting you in trouble. They constantly getting you in mischief. They constantly getting you into something. If you got a friend that's telling you, let's go rob this, it's not your friend. If you have a friend that's telling you, yeah, I'm about to mess with his girl, and that's your friend, that's not your friend. Friends, or people we call friends, will get you in trouble. David's son, his friend, which was his cousin, when he was telling, I'm so sick. I want to be with my sister tomorrow. And the friend was like, yeah, sure. Let me tell you how to do it. That's not a friend. That's not a friend. A friend gonna tell you, nah, bro. Nah, you sick, bro. Mm-hmm. That's what a friend gonna tell you. Like in today's terms, you sick, bro, or whatever it is, whatever today's term. Back in the days, I'm saying you wild. You wildin'. You wildin'. You bugging. But you got to be careful about those because it says the friend that they have to your own hurt. Come on.
Chapter 19, hallelujah.
Come on.
Better is the poor that walketh in his integrity than he that is perverse in his lips and a fool at the same time.
Come on.
Also, that the soul be without knowledge is not good, and he that hasteth with his feet sinneth.
When you rushing and do things, You're not paying attention. You're not really paying attention to what you're doing. You just trying to go just to get it done. For the soul to be without knowledge is not good, and he that hastens with his feet sinneth. Constantly rushing, constantly looking to do something, and you're not doing it right. You skipping steps because you're rushing. Come on.
The foolishness of man perverteth his way, and his heart fretteth against Jehovah. Come on. Wealth addeth many friends, but as for the poor, his friend separateth himself from him.
And you know, like some of the best example that you see of these is like people like the MC Hammers, right? The people who made money quick and they had their whole crew and they was popping bottles and they was spending money and all of that. And then when the money go, the friends go.
Yep.
Because they wasn't your friend in the first place. They were only your acquaintance for what you could do. And that's why I'm saying wealth add many friends. Meaning because when you rich and you got it, everybody wanna be around. But once that money go, they go. Come on.
Verse 5.
Come on.
A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that breatheth forth lies shall not escape.
Come on.
Many will entreat the favor of the liberal man, and every man is a friend to him that giveth gifts.
And again, you see the themes. The constant themes are the same. Where many will entreat the favor of a liberal man. You got it, they want to talk to you. They want to be with you. You know who else learned about that real quick? Tiger and Kobe. They both learned about it real quick. Tiger learned all of those waitresses that sent you their number on the back of the receipt. They all wanted to be with you because you was cute. That's what they wanted. And so you going, same thing with most of these athletes. You thinking, yeah, they like me. Everybody like me. I'm a big star. You know, I sing so well. Everybody like me. And you realize once they get you caught up, they was just looking at you. They was looking for you for a payday or a bag. And now they got you. Pregnant. They got you. Oh, man. How could I forget my man Shannon Sharp? Shannon Sharp. He paid her more for whatever he got than he made in the NFL. Some people are just looking for a payday, and that's what they're talking about. Come on.
All the brethren of the poor do hate him. How much more do his friends go far from him? He that pursueth words, they turn against him. He that getteth wisdom loveth his own soul. He that keepeth understanding shall find good.
Right, because what it's saying is, he that getteth wisdom loves his own soul. Sometimes, don't it feel good to not just be doing the same things that everybody else is doing? Doesn't it feel good to just know a little bit more? Just to be a little bit better? Don't it feel good for you to be different and in places like this rather than doing what everybody else is doing on a Saturday afternoon, which I don't even know what it looks like anymore.
Torah YAH.
What a Friday night party, don't even know what it looks like anymore.
Torah YAH.
But it's incumbent upon us to be different. Come on.
Verse 9. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that breatheth forth lies shall perish.
And this is the second time that they said this. It's talking about that false witness because, again, when you saying things, you doing things, you putting these reports out on people that just don't be true. And it says a false witness shall not go unpunished, and he that breatheth forth lies shall perish. Because it shows you, the wisdom shows you how God looks at people like this really because of the damage and the impact that they cause. Come on.
Luxury is not seemly for a fool, much less for a servant to have rule over princes.
Come on.
It is the discretion of a man to be slow to anger, and it is his glory to pass over a transgression.
Right. So what it's saying is, it's the discretion of a man. Like, you can't just be quick to get angry and jump up over everything. Sometimes you just got to relax. Sometimes you just got to know people going to be who they are. And you got to meet them where they are. And when they're saying right here, when it says, and it's glory to pass over a transgression, everything don't require a response. Some things do. Everything does not.
Right.
And so if it's something, and these are the things that you start to think about, especially like when you get older and you become more mature and you have children and the things that you used to get worked up about and respond to in your 20s, you don't respond to the same way when you have children, because you realize that one loss of your temper, that one mistake can cost you everything.
That's right.
And so you realize that some things just aren't worth it. Some things just aren't worth it. You know what? Whatever. In these days and time, like back in the days when we was younger, long as you kept your distance, and your distance then was about an arm's length and a half. Because as long as you stayed an arm's length and a half, I know that there's nothing you could do to me. I'm not going to turn my back. We're just going to leave this alone and could very easily just walk away. But that quick indiscretion, that quick decision, that quick response, because what happens is once you respond, they're going to respond. True. And after they respond, you're going to respond, and then it don't never end. That's right. And so sometimes if it's not that important, if it's not that serious, you know what? Just whatever. Just leave it alone. Come on.
Verse 12. The king's wrath is as the roaring of a lion, but his favor is as dew upon the grass. A foolish son is the calamity of his father, and the contentions of a wife are continual dropping.
So now here's the other side, right? They talked about a good wife earlier. Now they talking about a contentious wife.
A good wife can be contentious, right?
I don't agree.
I mean,
No, that's just my opinion. Some people, you know what, and we can talk about it. That's just my opinion. Because to me, a continual dropping is, and I'm going to get to the foolish son in a minute, but being that we jumped into a contentious wife or a continued dropping, it's like, you know, your faucet ever leaked and you trying to sleep? Drip, 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 drip. And they just don't stop. And you just don't stop. And you just keep talking, and you just keep yapping, and you just don't stop. Like, when you gonna stop? In my opinion, I don't think a good wife is a continued dropping, because a good wife know when to stop. That's just my opinion. Somebody else doing a portion next year might read this and do this a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? They might do this a little bit different. But only thing that I'm saying is, at a certain point, things just need to stop. Like, when we going to be over and done with this conversation already? What?
because she didn't get what she needed. That's why she's going.
She didn't get what she wanted. That's why she going.
That's not, I mean, and that could be true for some women, but you got to need, sometimes you still need clarity. And you
True.
really think it's over, but it's not over.
Right.
So, and it's going to keep going and going and going until it's over.
It's never going to be over. It's two-way street.
So what I'm going to say is this. I agree with that. I do agree with that. What I am going to say is this. People still need to know when to stop.
Okay, that's fair.
Everybody needs to know when to stop. And everybody need to know sometimes this conversation is no longer productive. So let's just move on. Move on might mean we revisit this later when tensions are calmer. Move on might mean just leave me alone and just leave it alone. We done. Conversation done. Because one of the things that I am going to say is, and again, I'm only speaking for me. And after I say this, y'all might be like, oh, that poor woman. Y'all might, but I'm going to just tell you, like, look, enough is enough. And after a while, I'm not receptive. I'm not talking about it no more. I just don't want to hear it. I agree. We need to come to a, no, but that's what I'm saying. But like sometimes everything, Didn't we talk about this earlier? Like everything sometimes things just need to kind of just stop. And somebody need be the bigger person, and I might be the bigger person in this one, and she might be the bigger person in the next one. I'm not talking about my personal family. I'm just speaking in general. But what happens is, at a certain point, it needs to stop. So my opinion about the portion that they talking about here is they talking about the person who just don't want to stop. And she just keep going, and she keep talking, and she keep talking, not because she didn't get what she need, but because she didn't get what she want. And guess what? We all can't get what we want all the time. Ain't nobody leaving. Nobody leaving. Ain't nobody leaving. Nah, ain't nobody leaving. That's true, too. That's a good point. That's a good point. Because at a certain point, sometimes meeting in the middle is, you know what? This is not worth us continuing to argue about. That's what you would think that dude is married. I just don't understand. But no, I'm just messing with him. But what I'm saying is, and everything is balanced, right? Everything is balanced. What I'm speaking about here, the type of person that I'm speaking about here, is not a person who feels like this is a critical issue that we need to figure out how to get through. What I'm speaking about here is a person who just don't want to stop. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm speaking about. She just don't want to stop, and she keep going, and she keep going. Think about it. Think about what you got to do, right? You got a husband, and he just won't stop. Don't you get fed up after a certain point? Don't you want your space after a certain point? It's the same thing. It's no different, huh?
Which proverb is that?
Which what? It ain't in there. It ain't in there. I'm just trying to placate. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to placate. But, I'm just saying. I'm just trying to placate. But it ain't in there. It ain't in there. But guess what? It's not in there because this is a mother and or a father speaking to a son. This ain't a mother or a father speaking to a daughter. So if this was that, then that might be in there. But that ain't in this proverb. I think it's in the New Testament. I'm just joking. Don't mind me.
New Testament say worse.
I
I'll tell
but
you what the New Testament say.
listen. The first part of the proverb says, "A foolish son is the calamity of his father." Listen. Sometimes sons can do some things that will just make you shudder and shiver. And what typically happens is when it comes to sons, fathers and mothers are different. Fathers will get fed up and will just be done. Mothers typically are always there, regardless to what. And I know that with my mother, with my brother, mothers will everything. But what it's saying is the foolish son is the calamity of his father, because the father is like, listen, I stand up and I try to be this person and I try to make this name for myself and my family, and you go out and you're such a knucklehead and you're doing and acting like this. And I know you don't really get that until you're a parent and you see it and you feel it and you feel certain things. But just take the word of the parents in the room. Take the words of the father in the room. That when your son, daughter also, but especially when your son, because that's the one that's going to carry your name. When your son act up, sometime as a father, you just like done. You just like done. And because our culture is such that a son carries a father's name, because our culture is such that the son carries on a father's inheritance, because our culture is such as that, fathers are going to be much harder on sons than they are on daughters, because like the inheritance is with you, bro. The inheritance is with you. And I worked this hard to make this name for myself, for you to go out there talking about Zaccar's son did this, and Zaccar's son did that.
That's right.
You know how that feel? You know how it feels. But I think that it's important for us to consider these things, because the fact of the matter is there's some things that children can do that's gonna make parents shamed. Thank you. Because I was thinking about another word. I appreciate that. Things that some shit. Pause. Some shit. Come on.
Verse 14. House and riches are the inheritance of fathers.
Isn't that just what we were talking about?
But a prudent wife is from Jehovah.
And we just talked about her too. We just talked about her too, because in the last set of Proverbs that we talked about, what did it say? It said, by the means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread. Here, houses and riches are the inheritance of fathers, but a prudent wife is from God. Come on.
Slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep.
Come on.
And the idle soul shall suffer hunger.
Come on.
He that keepeth the commandment keepeth his soul, but he that despiseth his ways shall die.
You know, and an interesting thing about despising his ways, talking about God's ways, the thing about despising God's ways is it's not even about what you say. Your actions are going to dictate how you despise, whether or not you're despising God's ways. It's not about what you say, it's about what you do. Come on.
He that is gracious unto the poor lendeth unto Jehovah, and his good deed will he repay unto him.
Come on.
Chasten thy son, for there is hope, but set not thy heart on his destruction.
And sometimes, this is the part of the conversation that we don't like to talk about also, but sometimes corporal punishment is necessary. Corporal punishment isn't always the answer in every situation. You burnt the rice, makkah. You didn't sweep the floor, makkah. It's not always the answer, but sometimes, in order for you to get it, you need to feel it. And I know that that's something that we moved away from. And I'm going to just say, fortunately for me, I thank God that I didn't have to throw too many hands, especially with the number of beatings that I got. I didn't have to. Worst I got was they used to curse and write curses on tables and curse and all that other kind of stuff. That's probably the worst. Throwing stuff out the window and all that. But in the scheme of things, it's like, you know what? In the scheme of things, 17. 17. I ain't say no. I ain't say no names. Hold on. I ain't say no names. I ain't say no names. Why? I don't know why. But I'm just saying. We talking about mockers, right? Everything don't deserve a mocker.
That's right.
Some things do. Some things do. And the problem comes in when we get away from giving mockers for stuff that deserve a mocker. Because when we get away from giving mockers for things that deserve mockers, then you're going to do it again, and you're going to do it again because you don't respect the fact that I told you this the first time. And so everything is a balance. Everything is a balance. What verse you in? Oh, yeah, 18. But what it's saying is, it says, chasten thy son, for there is hope. But meaning that when you don't chastise, because you see the generation right now, you see the results of what happens when sons don't get chastised. Because when sons don't get chastised, what happens is you have people who have no respect or regard for life. You have no respect and regard for life. And this is what we have. We have a generation of children. That's outside, that don't have no love or respect for anybody. And guess what? If you don't chasten him, the police, I guarantee you, they will. Sometimes the dudes in the street will. They call it, they tighten it up. Sometimes the dudes in the street will tighten you up. Sometimes the police will tighten you up. So it's better for us to do it, because at least when we doing it out of love. We doing it out of concern. We doing it out of care. When people outside do it, they doing it because God done intervened, and you no longer have control over what the end of that marker gun look like. Come on.
Verse 19. A man of great wrath shall suffer punishment, for if thou interpose, thou wilt add thereto. Hear counsel and receive instruction, that thou mayest be wise in thy latter end.
And I understand some of these young people, some of y'all young people haven't gone through certain things. And this is where hearing counsel is important, because if we telling you, we've been out there. If we telling you what the inside of a cell look like and feel like, we telling you, take counsel so you don't end up there. Because the fact of the matter is while, and I think about this sometimes, yeah, we survived the generation of the 80s and the 90s. But then I wonder, like, did we really? Did we really? Because did we survive it, or did we just get through it? Because if we survived it, we would have came through all right. It seems like we got through it, but we just barely got through it because we carry we bear the trauma of the things that we seen and that we were exposed to. So because we saw, I'm gonna just tell you, you could have been anywhere, anytime, and 30 dudes would have been jumping on somebody in a minute. You could have been anywhere, anytime, and dudes just start shooting in a minute. You could have been anywhere, anytime, and the police roll up, and you ended up in the bottom of a cell in a minute. And so, because we all experienced that, we overcompensated to make sure that y'all didn't have to experience what we experienced. And that might mean that we kept you inside a little bit longer than we probably should have. Yeah, you know what? Maybe. Because I couldn't bear the thought. I couldn't bear the thought of mine walking through a situation and seeing some of the things that I seen. So I'd rather keep you in the house and bear the brunt of you being in the house, feeling like you a house thug, than being out there with the street thugs, because them dudes be vicious sometimes. The street thugs be vicious sometimes. The reason y'all schools have metal detectors is because our generation came to school with guns and knives and hatchets and all them hammers and hatchets and axes, and that's why y'all got metal detectors, because of that. You listen, all that. The generation where they went in clubs with razor blades in their mouth because they were searching everywhere else. That's what I'm talking about. Jail culture, where you went to school in wood shop and they took the wood from the wood shop and made a shank. In school, in high school.
So you survived it.
I ain't survived it. I just made it through.
Yeah.
I just made it through. So I'm just saying. So when we stand up here and we say things like hear counsel and receive instruction that thou may be wise in the latter end, I'm just telling you, just listen. Because the last place you want to be in the middle of a cell where ain't no women coming no time soon. That's the last place you want to be. Last place you want to be is in the middle of a cell where there's one bathroom and no tissue, and if you got to go, you going around 20 other dudes. It's the last place you want to be. Hear counsel and receive instruction that thou may be wise in the latter end. Because it's not always promised that you're going to make it through some of those types of situations that some of us, God graciously brought out of. Come on.
There are many devices in a man's heart, but the counsel of Yahweh, that shall stand.
Come on. That's showing you that you might think about whatever you think should happen, whatever you feel, whatever this, at the end of the day, the counsel of God is going to stand. Come on.
The lust of a man is his shame, and a poor man is better than a liar. The fear of Yahweh tendeth to life, and he that hath it shall abide satisfied. He shall not be visited with evil.
You know why the fear of God tendeth to life? Because when you truly fear God, you won't do certain things because you fear God. You could tell people who fear God and by the ones who don't, just by the things, the chances that they choose to take with God, like God don't see. The chances that we take sometimes that we know, we looking out for other people, we hiding out from other people when God see everything. When you fear God, the reason that you have no concern is because you fear God. So doing certain things on Shabbat is not an option. You fear God. So messing with somebody else's wife is not an option. Because you fear God. You're not worried about what the dude might do. You're worried about what God might do. That's why it's going to tend to life. That's why it's going to tend to life. Because if you worried about what somebody else might do, you what? You know what? I take my chances. But because you're concerned about God, you know it ain't no wins. Come on.
The sluggard beareth his hand in the dish, and will not so much as bring it back to his mouth.
I mean, they talk about lazy people like, you know what I mean? And it's just showing you the depth of laziness where it said he done put his fork to the bowl and he's so lazy, he just too lazy to bring it to his mouth. Come on.
When thou smitest a scorner, the simple will become prudent.
Mm-hmm.
And when one that hath understanding is reproved, he will understand knowledge.
And again, it's showing you that again. When thou smitest a scorner, the simple will become prudent. Meaning, if you didn't understand and recognize what the consequences could be then, once you respond, you know now. And so what happens is that becomes a lesson to the person who feeling it, and it becomes a lesson to the person who's seeing it. Come on.
A son that dealeth shamefully and reproachfully will despoil his father and chase away his mother.
We talked about that already. Come on.
Cease, my son, to hear the instruction that causeth to err from the words of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
An ungodly witness mocketh at right, and the mouth of the wicked devoureth iniquity.
Come on.
Judgments are prepared for scorners, and stripes for the back of fools. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All honors, praise, respect, acknowledgement I offer unto the great King of the universe, to the God of my father, to the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, and the God of Yaakov, thanking him for all things and everything. I bid you in the tongue of our forefathers. Shabbat Shalom L'kol.
Hallelujah. Giving all honor and